Okay, welcome back to the Rock and Roll Channel special edition today. Got the one and the only BRCW CEO, super wrestling fan, even better person, and six-time Jericho cruiser as well, upcoming. So, got a camera issue.
Why did I lose my camera?
Yeah, this is Matthew Maschler. I go back with about 10 years now.
Yeah.
And happy to have him on. And for those of you who aren't familiar with when I say BRCW, that's Boca Raton Championship Wrestling. Matthew is the founder and CEO of it. And maybe it's an independent wrestling company in a sense, but it's really not. The only difference between BRCW and WWE and AEW is that they're not on live TV every week, and they're not in like a major arena. I mean, it's a credit to the production they have there and the talent and everything. You go to a BRCW show, it'll blow your mind. So he's been doing it for about 3 years now.
Yeah.
And
can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you good. I think my screen froze a little bit, but yeah, 2.5 years. We started in May of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
No, 2022.
Yes.
2022.
And this is the third cruising for a Bruisin.
Yeah.
It always just is now become a tradition where it's literally like the lead into the Jericho Cruise.
Yeah.
When this show comes, the Jericho Cruise is here. So I've been telling people, and I'd love to hear it from you. Just this card is stacked this week.
Uh-huh.
For those of you in town, like it's not should I go? It's just go.
Yeah, I try to tell people like you're gonna regret it. You're gonna regret it.
Yeah, no, it's unbelievable. I had Desi Escamofo, who's going to be on the card on the show the other night, and he was talking about how awesome your company is and how awesome. Oh, we lost Matt. He'll probably come back in. But Desi was talking about how, like, even in the back, Matt has people on headsets with monitors watching the show. It's just not your typical indie show. We're gonna see if we can get him back. His screen had issues. But yeah, in the meantime, I'll talk about the card a little bit because I really didn't talk much about it. We just talked about Desi's match. And yeah, so basically, the names you might know, the Righteous. Who am I missing here? There he is. Back on.
My computer crashed.
All right. You good to go now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just telling people how it's.
I heard it all.
Call your company independent. I just can't.
Yeah, no, we're independent. We don't have anyone on full-time contract. So
true.
that's.
I'm sorry.
To me, that's my definition is full-time contract. But AEW and almost like exclusive like WWE, but AEW they're not exclusive. They could wrestle. So I think it's major television. Major television, and it can't even be cable television because streaming, right? WWE's on Netflix now, so they're streaming.
That's true. But I'm talking about like from the production, just how unbelievable the shows are. And I'm not just saying that because you're here. I've been to everyone. I've been fortunate to. I mean, you guys have been awesome to me, where I get to go in the back and see how everything is done. And it's. I mean, Desi had a great point the other night. He was talking about your show, and he was like, "What independent show has 6 people on headsets in the back with monitors?"
I don't do anything half-ass or small. I believe in always being my best and always trying my best. So I don't have to. Sometimes I don't look to be better, right? I don't look to be the best in the world, right? That no, I don't look to be best in the world. I just look to be as good as the best. That's the low bar I set for myself.
But it works.
Yeah.
And I was just telling people while you crashed how stacked the card is this week.
Speaking of crash, we're going to try to come into the show. I'm back on my desktop, so we're going to do a little switcheroo.
Okay, you got it. Let me know when you're ready. There we go. I'm back. Oh, much better.
Yeah.
There we go.
Let's go.
So this card is stacked, and This might be. I mean, all your cards are always stacked. Amazing card, top to bottom. This lineup, I think, is top to bottom my favorite lineup you've put together.
Oh, thank you so much. This one,
honestly,
yeah, thank you. This one was difficult because, I try to do, people going on the cruise. And there's, I categorize that 3 different types of people going on the cruise, right? There's professional wrestlers that are booked on the Jericho cruise. There's professional wrestlers that are not booked on the Jericho cruise, but they're booked to go as guests and enjoy themselves because they want to go on the greatest vacation ever. And then there's guests who go on the Jericho cruise that also wrestle.
Yes.
If you can understand those 3 distinctions, right? So I try to have something for everyone. So some friends that I've met on the Jericho cruise that wrestle. For instance, Des, you mentioned Des. Steve Person I met 5 years ago. So that must have been the second Jericho cruise. This will be the first time he wrestles with us. Last show we had another guy out at the Totally Arctic Wrestling.
Nola Bear.
He was very popular with the fans. We also have Big Guns Justin Andrews returning for the second time. Someone I met on the cruise that wrestles on the independent circuit. And then we have our BRCW wrestlers that are going on the cruise for a vacation. They're not booked on the Jericho cruise, like Cha-Cha Charlie, Bull James, Jack Talos. How do you say Cha-Cha Charlie first in that sentence?
The man's not putting me through a table.
Yeah. And then professional wrestlers who are going on the cruise as talent. Last year we had Harley Cameron. This year we have our women's champion, Ash by Elegance, formerly known as Dana Brooke. We have, speaking of BRCW talent going on the cruise, we have Main Event Fulton. But as far as AEW, talent wrestling on the cruise that's on the card, besides Ash by Elegance, we have the Chocolate Kid, Mo Giovanni. We have Dynamite Kid, Ty Billington. Who else do we have?
You have Frankie Kazarian.
Frankie Kazarian. He was a surprise last year. He actually reached out to us and said, "Hey, I'm going back on the cruise. Can I do cruising?" I go, "Yeah, you're do our cruising show." We have Top Dollar, AJ Francis, who's not going on the cruise, but he's in the show.
You also got the Righteous. They'll be on the cruise too.
The Righteous?
Yes.
The Righteous. That was a last-minute ad because they got booked for the cruise, and they're like, "Bro, come on, man. BRCW's our home. We're going to Florida. We have to do BRCW." I said, "Of course."
Yeah. And this is special because it's the one night of the year that you are not in Boca Raton.
We are not in Boca Raton. We leave. I'd leave Boca for Delray or Coconut Creek or maybe Boynton Beach. But to go to Miami, man, oh, man. So, yeah, we're in Miami, Florida, or a Pullman Hotel. We loved working with them. They loved having us. We're not sure next year. Do we stay at the Pullman or do I need a bigger venue? That's a good problem to have. I like both options. But shout out to the Pullman Hotel, Miami Airport. Love working with them. Obviously, everybody wants to stay at Marriott or Hilton if they have status and whatnot. And I get it. I'm like that too. But those venues, they weren't the right venues for us. And we're real happy. I was on vacation in New Zealand and I stayed at the Pullman Hotel in Rotorua, New Zealand. And
no kidding.
Wendy thought there'd be a wrestling show and their ballroom was a little too small for one.
That's awesome. No, and I'm excited. I mean, like I said, it's my favorite lineup yet, top to bottom. And it's been advertised, so I'm gonna bring it up. The after party.
The after party. So last year for the after party, we took over the hotel lobby, but they shut the lobby bar down at 10:15. They told me they'd stay open until midnight as long as there were people there. But if there was no people, they'd shut it down. So the guy started shutting the bar down at 10 o'clock, and it was crazy. Everybody wanted a drink. So when I met with the Pullman, afterwards for the autopsy, like to review what happened, good and bad, after a show, I was like, "Guys, you killed it. What happened?" They're like, "Well, they showed us their sales ledger with no sales." I go, "Yeah." I saw this guy was wiping down the bar and wiping down the glasses, and he wasn't serving anyone. He had a full bar. He had a full room.
So the after party's going to be good. I'm a little nervous that it's not going to be a lot of, like 11 o'clock at night. There's not going to be food, but maybe it's just me that wants to eat food at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So, so I think it'll be all right. So, what we decided was, let's get in. I waited until they announced the bands, and not a knock on any of those bands, but it made me miss Rubik's Cube. They were the late night music on the second and third cruise,
Mhm.
and I had them come down for a private party of mine. So hey, shout out to private party. But the Rubik's Cube came down. We did an '80s party. It was great. So I'm like, let's get Rubik's Cube down here. So any of the cruisers who went on the second and third cruise, they might remember Rubik's Cube. So it'll be fun. So they're not booked on the cruise, but they did the second and third cruise. So we're gonna have them at the after party. Brad Williams. He actually did one of our shows. He was in Fort Lauderdale. It was the same weekend, so we had him come in, and he was on commentary, and he worked the match a little bit with Paul James. So I invited him to come to the show and talking about the after party. So Desi Escamofo is wrestling, but Destro Loreen is gonna do some stand up at the after party. So it's Des, then Brad Williams, and then we're gonna have Rubik's Cube, and then we're gonna close the night with Dave Spivak Project in the same room as the where the wrestling ring is. I'm just gonna have to tell everybody to turn their chairs around. And
it's just so awesome. It's just like basically the cruise is starting now, the night before the cruise, which is so cool.
Yeah, right. Right. Instead of you get on Friday, you spend Friday high fiving everyone, but yeah, we'll start on Thursday night, and everybody get to see each other. I sold 240 tickets so far. 170 of them are from out of state, so I know those 170 are cruisers.
I'm excited though because all your crowds are great, but this is, and I love how you geared up the card because this is more of a hardcore crowd. If you're traveling all this way for a cruise of wrestling, you're serious about it.
Yes. Yes.
So I love that.
And that's why I'm going. I'm pulling out all the stops.
Awesome. So Matt, like I was talking about before in the beginning, you will, as in this cruise, be a 6-time rager. That means you've been on every one 6 times. Which is it's a cool thing to say, man. That you're one of that, like in that company. What are some of your Jericho cruise memories, just from the past?
Oh,
why it's special to you? Just anything about the cruise in general.
There was something about the first cruise that was unique, right? Just for everybody, for the talent, for the fans. It's never been done before. There was something that was unique. The second cruise, there was something. What was great about it is that there was something familiar.
Right.
The third cruise was delayed because of COVID. It's actually kind of funny. Stuart, our friend Stuart Shrek, he's been on all the Jericho cruises, but 2 Jericho cruises were delayed and rescheduled during COVID, and both times he was not going to go on the original date. So the third cruise he wasn't going to go on, but when it got rescheduled, he did go on it, right? And when the fourth cruise got delayed a little bit, again he wasn't going to go on it originally, and then he was able to go on it. So it's funny. He's a 6-timer, and he wouldn't have been if either of those cruises went out. The third cruise, I was considering not going.
Oh, really?
There's just a lot with WrestleMania and Jericho cruise. There's just a lot of time away from the wife and kids, and usually the way the cruise goes is we get on one day, the next day's a day at sea, then a port day at sea, and then home. The third cruise, the first day was the port day, and I said, you know what, I could get the cheapest room. Usually I get a nice room with a balcony. I can get the cheapest room, get on the cruise, barely pack, get on the cruise, say hi to everyone, like have a nice lunch, say hi to everyone, dinner, party all night, have breakfast, walk off the cruise in Freeport, Bahamas, and fly home.
Yeah, in an hour.
And for my wife and kids, they wouldn't even know I was gone.
Right.
And then I think people on the cruise would barely notice I was gone also, right? So that was my plan for the third cruise, just to have a little taste, but just not do a 5-day vacation a month, 2 months before WrestleMania. So that was my plan. And then when it happened, everybody was so, thirsty to see everybody again. It's been so long and get out of the house after COVID. So the third cruise was great. Just to get back on. It wasn't sold out. It was spacious. It was post COVID. So third cruise was good. And then by the fourth cruise, I don't think 4 and 5 now it blurs. Right? Like
they're all blending together now.
The fourth cruise, I'm like, man, I don't know if I even remember which one was that.
We were joking the other night. They're all blending.
And what was fun about the fourth cruise was I had Rubik's Cube for my private party, and then they were on the cruise. So I had a lot of Rubik's Cube that month. So that's I guess the biggest thing I remember about fourth versus fifth is fifth was the change from Rubik's to Guardians of the Jukebox. But then Guardians of the Jukebox was twice. So second and third was Rubik's Cube. Fourth and fifth was Guardians of the Jukebox.
Right.
That had to be it. Fifth cruise, there was a prom night. So
yeah, the last night.
Yeah. So usually, the first cruise was over Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a costume party. It was Halloween, so everybody went nuts with their costumes, and it was amazing. It was amazing to see the level of that people would take it to. I don't know if it was a Halloween thing or just a wrestling fan thing. So on the second cruise, when people were doing costumes, I was like, well, it's not Halloween anymore. Are people really going to get into it? And they did. So there's themed nights. So the prom night, I didn't quite understand because I don't know, if I was going to a prom, I'd want to bring a date, but I don't usually bring a date to a wrestling show.
Right. There's what, 60%, 70% guys on the ship.
Yeah, I wasn't going to find a date on the cruise. So.
Right. No, I understand, but I'm saying
I'm a married guy.
But that was the thing, was apparently a lot of people have been requesting that.
Yeah. So
we went ahead and did it.
So I got my tuxedo, and I'm not usually in a tuxedo. I wear my suit. It's there's a couple different gimmicks in my suit. Usually I'm wearing the suit. It's my Miz gimmick. It has since transitioned from my Miz gimmick to my Cody Rhodes gimmick. Although I don't wear a 3-piece suit. For true Cody Rhodes, I would need a 3-piece suit.
That's true.
I might have to think about doing that. But anyway, a lot of people mistake it for Paul Heyman. I'm not sure why. I don't see a similarity. My guess is because we're both Jewish. But usually it's the Miz. Sometimes it's Cody. There is a favorite wrestler night on the cruise, and I think I'm going to lean in to the Paul Heyman. I'm not going to shave my head, but I'm going to lean into the Paul Heyman, and I have a new suit that I want to break out for favorite wrestler night that will lean more towards Paul Heyman than Cody or Miz. So you'll let me know when you see it.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. So it kind of led into my next question pretty well there. I was going to say, what are you looking forward to on the upcoming one?
Yeah, I can't think past.
Yeah,
I can't think past Thursday. And
that's true.
I don't know who's on the cruise. I don't have my schedule. I don't have my plan. Everybody else looked at their schedules. I didn't check in. I literally can't think past Thursday.
I would hope not. Yeah.
And the truth is, I'm starting Wednesday.
That's true.
I'm sorry. Will I see you Wednesday?
I would like to come. Yeah. Let's
ribcagebattle.com. We'll determine who makes the best meatball in South Florida. 6 restaurants are bringing 250 meatballs each. That's a lot of meatballs. There will be some surprises, some BRCW favorites. ribcagebattle.com. Some beers. Brutus and Missy Beefcake should be there. Last year, Matt Riddle came. Hopefully, Matt Riddle will come again this year. Kurt Stallion, BRCW champion Noah Keikoa. What do you think of BRCW champion Noah Keikoa?
I like him. I do. He's what you want if you're looking for your heel champ. He fits the bill. He's got experience for his NXT days. I love him in the faction with Neil the Heel.
But back in NXT, we used to boo the shit out of him.
I know, but he's learned from that. But I think he's done a great job as your champ.
I didn't appreciate him in NXT. I didn't realize how good a heel he was.
That's true. His heel stuff has come out more since those days.
You think?
I think so. He was a babyface there and got booed.
I don't think he was baby.
That's true. That's true.
Right.
I think he's done. I mean, it's up to you. You know, you're the final decider there. I think he's done a great job for you as champ.
No, but that's what I'm saying, right? Like you were looking at him as a baby and getting booed, and like what, right? Like it you weren't booing him because he was a bad guy. You were we were booing him because we really thought he sucked.
Right, which is the worst.
Right, and he didn't, and he just it was just over on us. Like I used to watch old ladies boo him. Justin Shelton, our merchandise officer, still booing the shit out of him. But he's really good. His promos and his in-ring work, he's really good.
He looks like $1 million.
Yeah.
That vignette he did the other night before Neil the Heels match, top notch. That's why when I say, like, I know technically you're independent, but I tell people, like, if you go there saying I'm going to see some indie wrestling tonight, you're in for a rude awakening.
Right, because it's television quality.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. It's indie wrestling, but it's TV quality. I could put this on a network.
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And I predict it's going to happen one day, man. And
maybe.
I think so. This is my guess. We've had talks
on YouTube. We can watch it in YouTube. Did you know, Jeremy? Did you know that we have a second YouTube channel?
No, I just know the main one that I subscribe to.
BRCW en Español.
Oh, nice.
Because we have Ricardo Rodriguez as our Spanish announcer. And we have all of our shows uploaded to BRCW en Español. We don't have any subscribers.
Well, you got one tonight. I'm gonna subscribe.
Do you speak Spanish?
Muy poquito.
Tu comprende. So if you, I watch it all in English with Matt Raywald and Val on commentary, but there's a whole nother side to it with Ricardo Rodriguez on commentary, and sometimes I forget to tell Ricardo Rodriguez what the stories are and why certain matches were booked. So I don't know what he's saying over there.
But you can always, it's cool to hear his voice, and then you can always put on subtitles or captions.
Yeah. Captions.
You put the captions, so you have the English, and then you get to hear him and he's a WWE voice. I mean, he's fantastic.
Wait, hold on one second. I want to grab something.
Sure.
I was wondering what was in the background. I got a virtual Zoom frame.
Oh, there we go.
Like connecting people through wrestling frame. I should hold this for my Zoom meeting.
Neil the Heel would love that.
This was signed at the last show by a lot of members of talent, but I see like a lot of members of the audience signed it as well. So.
Well, I think your show is becoming that. Let's say, I mean, obviously AEW people are for the most part have the flexibility to work your show in NWA and TNA, but I really think it's going to get to the point, if it's not already, and we have not talked about this, is let's say WWE guy gets released and they're free after the 90 days or they're free agents, you're going to be their first call. Which is a tough thing. I'm not saying I envy you.
We're not hiring right now.
Yeah.
If for me, I'd have.
I didn't say it was going to be a good call, but
I'd have 20 matches if I had all my regulars on. We haven't. I got to bring in Bobby Fish back. I got to bring Matt Taven back. There's a lot of people that that I like using, that I want to use, and that I have to cycle through. So we're not hiring right now. The new hires, the new appearances are strategic. Like for instance, I had someone last show at the Festival of Fights. In the 4-way, we had Nigel, Big Tito. I met him over at Alpha's Wrestling Academy at the last show that Alpha did before he passed. I wanted to hire someone from that show. I found myself there as a scout, and I was trying to discover someone new at that show. And Alpha was still alive, but I watched the show with that eyes, and this was a big guy, and he was good, still very young and green, but he had a big future going on for him. So I invited him to come and do our show. There was an experienced wrestler that I met that night, but he ended up going to WWE a week later, so he could not do my show. It was one of Pakistan's kids. I reached out to him. I talked to him that night. I'm like, hey, listen, I have this show, and I gave him my number, and then they announced to join the Bloodline. I text him. I go, guess you're not doing my show.
So is that a yes or no?
Yeah.
What I love about your company, one of the main things is when you talk about not hiring, it's because you're the rare company outside WAW that you get to have storylines.
Yeah.
Because you have a solid roster in locker room where you can build stories. The fans have gotten to know the wrestlers who haven't met them before. Where usually most indie shows, pretty much all of them are one-offs.
Yeah, I try to build stories. If you come to most of my BRCW shows, you can follow the stories around. I mean, we had 5 or 6 shows. The first 5 with Alan Martinez. If you really watched it, the very first show we had our ladder match for the championship. Alan and Kerry Morton fought outside the ring, left the arena. They never came back. So the second show was Kerry versus Alan. Kind of to finish that. That's like where'd they go, right? Like to answer the question, where'd they go? Second show, and then Kerry defeated Alan. Pretty sure if my memory serves. So then at our third show, we came back in and we had some scaffolding up on the top of the set that we were going to use to feature Charlie Parra because he was going to play the national anthem on his guitar. And we looked up and we see the lights were all red and up there was Alan Estuez Martinez and he did a massive jump on top of Kerry Morton. So we followed that, and then that morphed into Alan almost winning the Cruiserweight Battle Royal and being not betrayed, but hit from behind. I forget what you call it, and losing the Cruiserweight Battle Royal to Neil the Heel, which then made Alan chase Neil for that Cruiserweight, which lent into Birthday Bash, which I don't know if that was our 7th show, just still following this story where Alan puts Neil through the table, and then that went into March Madhouse at B'nai Israel, where Alan was severely punished by me.
Yes,
I'm like, did I just turn heel? With I don't remember what Alan had to do for
You gave him a monster opponent.
A monster opponent.
Monster opponent. Table. 4 times the size of him.
and then recently at Festival of Fights, again, Alan versus Neil. Alan's still chasing that Cruiserweight title. And I don't know if you went to Festival of Fights. If not, you got to see it online. Neil did incredible. He had a wonderful, wonderful match against Alan. Did you? I'm sure you saw it, right? Neil
was there.
Yeah. I know you were there, so
it was an incredible match. And that's funny. I'm glad you segued there. I was going to talk about the last show, Festival of Fights.
Yeah,
something you don't always see in America when it comes to pro wrestling, and it was you knocked it out of the park that night.
I never had a luchador before. I never had a masked wrestler at one of my shows. One of the things I'm still working on as a promoter is the right balance. Different types of matches. You don't want the same style of match over and over again. And I admittedly, I have to work on that. And then realized I never had a luchador before. And not that we solved that, but it kind of prompted one of the guys to make the lucha mask that they gave to Neil as a Hanukkah present. And then Neil donned that lucha mask, and I didn't connect it, but it was almost like that. Did you see that movie, that Netflix movie with the lucha mask and the rest of those?
That's a good movie.
Give the boy the wrestling powers.
Yes, but that show was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, it was different. I mean, always in December you have your Christmas themed shows. Here it was Festival of Fights, Boca Raton, Florida, at a synagogue.
8 crazy fights.
8 crazy fights, and you had arguably a top 5 wrestler in the world headlining in an MJF.
Well, we had our Maccabee Madness match.
Maccabee Madness. Was that the one with the mortgage on a pole match?
Yeah, well, we ended up doing a $5,000 check.
That's right.
From Signature Real Estate. And that was won by Ariel Levy.
Yes.
Give it to the Jewish guy give it to the Hanukkah present. And we had our dreidel match, where the rabbi spun the dreidel, and whichever side of the dreidel came up would determine the stipulation for the match. And was Better Together versus the Righteous. I just
Even
like the monster righteous guy spitting a dreidel. I didn't try to fit that image. But,
it was what I loved, even some of the little touches. Like, and one thing you've done with the show is the little things, and true wrestling fans notice that. And you had Colt Cabana come out to the ring, introduced by Dasha of WWE and AEW.
So let's talk about Dasha.
Please.
You know, Neil started ring announcing for CCW before we started BRCW. And he was really, really good at it. So when we put the first show together, Neil was the ring announcer, but carrying the Cruiserweight Championship, defending that, and he's been defending that all over the world and other promotions. So carrying the Cruiserweight Championship, he couldn't ring announce. So when we realized that Dasha was available to ring announce, and Jeremy and I go way, way back in depth with Dasha to those NXT days. You know, I have pictures of Dasha with David when he was 9 and 10 years old, my son David. So it was so great to to work with her, and I get to explain the stories to her because she doesn't know my stories when she came in a little bit late. So we try to so that she know who was wrestling and what the matches were. So it was great working with her.
And she's the consummate professional, but it was great with Colt Cabana. They not only on his introduction, did you announce where he's from, his name obviously, when he had his bar mitzvah. She said there's something like on yesterday 30 some. It was the whole crowd popped for that, Jewish, non-Jewish. It didn't matter. But it was such a little touch that went a long way, and I haven't had a chance to tell you that yet.
Well, no, thank you for telling me that. Yeah, so a lot of our fans, they're local, they're friends of mine or people I know or talk to, and I say like, dads bring your kids, moms bring your kids. So it's not the typical indie fan, and I didn't realize most of them probably didn't even know Colt Cabana, right? And he's such a staple of indie wrestling. He's almost synonymous. He was like the first. He's like the prototype indie wrestler, right? Someone who
made it a movement.
What's that?
He made it a movement.
Yeah.
Where you could be indie and be successful.
He showed people that it could be done to do indie wrestling and make money on it. He was making T-shirts at 1 Hour Tees before there was a Pro Wrestling Tees.
Right, and he was doing podcasts before it was a thing.
And he was doing podcasts before. I love the Colt Cabana podcast.
Yeah,
he had a great studio apartment. So it was a great podcast. So I'm a big fan, but I realized a lot of my people didn't know him. So that was interesting. He had a great match with Bull. A lot of callbacks to some of the legends in wrestling. Bull spent a lot of time with Dusty Rhodes. So you see that in Bull's wrestling, a lot of callbacks to Dusty.
And I said to Bull after that match, I said, the way you were able to flick the switch and go into the comedy mode when you had to.
Yeah.
He's like, well, it came easy working with, Bull's humble. He's not going to say, of course I did it. But
Bull's really, really good.
He's just so good. Here he is, this big monster. And then he can flick the switch and have the crowd laughing, even as a heel or babyface. I mean, he's so good like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so glad he's been a part of every show with the company.
Absolutely. He's part of he's a core part of our board. If I have a question about storyline, if I have a question about wrestling, because I don't know the business, he's my go-to person to ask questions about how do I do something.
I mean, and it's not even a case of you not knowing. I mean, on one of the cruises that he was on, wrestlers were coming up to him and saying, "What do you think about this? Do you think I should do that?" With his experience, and he was guiding experienced wrestlers on maybe tone this down, maybe do this. I mean, it was, and I just sat there like a sponge listening.
Yeah,
it was fascinating.
I didn't even realize he goes way back with MJF to those MLW days. So they reconnected for and talked for a long time.
Yeah.
So and having MJF, when I decided to do Festival of Fights a year before, like Hanukkah of 2023, and I said next year I'm doing a Hanukkah show. But like I said earlier in the show, right? If I do a show, I don't need to be the best in the world, but I need to be as good, right? I am not doing a Hanukkah show unless I have Goldberg or MJF.
I remember that.
Because you see all these Maccabee shows, Mitzvah Mania in Los Angeles 2 years ago. but no Goldberg, no MJF. I'm like, you need some, you need that star power. So I think I got to find MJF's booking information for next. Not MJF, Goldberg.
Yeah,
not to wrestle, just to do the meet and greet.
He could do the meet and greet. He could do a an in-ring promo or something.
I don't need him in. I just want him to do. I'll do a meet and greet. I'll have the pictures.
Yeah, you know how to do that. MJF, I think, knocked it out of the park that night.
He was so good.
Yeah,
I hate him so much, and he was so good.
I mean, I'm not going to tell you he was. I mean, I got to interact with him a lot. He was awesome, and sorry, I don't know if I'm ruining his character there. But
he
was fantastic to the fans too in the meet and greet.
And after the show, he helped take down the ring.
Really?
Yeah. Really, I'm just trying to ruin his character.
Oh, okay. But I thought he was awesome, and then not only he worked a full match with QT Marshall. It wasn't all right. I'm going to come in. I'm MJF. I'm going to give you 5 minutes and be grateful. I think they worked about a 15-minute match. Took
pictures with everyone. Oh, there's one guy. The photographer says, "Hey, I have to do the picture over whoever it was. Not MJF, but the person. His eyes were closed." MJF's like, "His eyes were closed? I like that. Don't do it over."
He was like, there were people in line saying, "Man, he's been really nice." I'm like, he's in his home. He's in a temple.
But if you look at the pictures, he did make faces at people.
Yeah,
he did. He balanced the line right. But speaking about being in a synagogue, Swerve was there.
Yes,
we're friendly, so he sometimes he comes to support me. And also, he has friends in the locker room. So, I always told him it's BRCW, it's Swerve's house. But he's never done my show. So I see him.
He's been to several.
What?
He's been to several.
He comes, but he doesn't. Yeah. He comes, but he doesn't. He hasn't been.
He likes to keep a low profile there.
So I said to him, I go, I looked at him and when I saw him, I go, usually, when you walk in, it's Swerve's house, but this is my synagogue. It's not your house. Not your house.
Yeah, it was just cool seeing him, and I got to chat with him for like a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
That's the thing is these shows, and what I love that you've really kind of set the bar in is bringing reality show to the ring. I don't know how much you do or don't want to talk about, but you've had a couple challenge shows.
Well, coming up next, March 9th, tickets on sale at BocaRatonWrestling.com.
That's all I wanted to talk about that. Yeah, I'm so excited for that. And I know people who aren't maybe wrestling fans per se, but they love Big Brother. They love the Road Rules. They love the Real World. They love all those shows. And you have forged a great partnership with that world.
Yeah, and that's through Mark Long. He is our all-star champion. He doesn't have to defend that title, but he is on March 9th. He's defending that title. But then at the last event we went to a celebrity event in Orlando. It was billed as stars from your favorite shows like Big Brother, Survivor, Boca Raton Championship Wrestling, The Challenge, Squid Games, Amazing Race, and we were there, doing our autographs. And Neil and Johnny Fairplay seemed to get into it a little bit.
Oh,
we were having a villain versus villain match between Johnny Fairplay and Neil the Heel. So some of the Challenge fans, Challenge Mania is going to be in Fort Lauderdale March 8th. We built it around our show. And so some of the Challenge fans that are going to be in Fort Lauderdale March 8th for Challenge Mania, and I invited them to come to the show, and that they don't really like wrestling. And when I mentioned Johnny Fairplay's going to be in the show, and the look in their eye is like, do we get to see Johnny Fairplay get his ass kicked? I'm like, you might.
Yeah, because I saw there you're running in conjunction with the Dania Beach Improv.
Yes.
So they're doing a Real World Road Rules.
And if we go back to the heels, like we talked about Noah, and like you don't like him and he's saying boo, and then you watch him get his ass kicked. So like what's his Logan Paul. Right? Yeah. People don't like Logan Paul, but at the end, and then he wins the match at WrestleMania. But then Kevin Owens gives him a stunner. And then you're happy because you watch Logan Paul get his ass kicked. Right? That's what it's about. So you
want to go home happy then.
You want the heel to get their ass kicked. So people, I get to see Johnny Fairplay get his ass kicked. You might.
You might. Yeah, you might.
But he's fighting Neil.
He's on both sides of the coin for that one because Neil.
But he's fighting Neil. I don't think Johnny knows that Neil's trained.
Yeah, and that Neil knows people.
Yeah, well, Neil does have a good faction with him.
Neil has people with him, so but I think that's really it's something different in the world of wrestling with the reality stars.
I thought you were going to say Neil's faction was something different because Neil's leading a Samoan dynasty faction, descendants of Alpha the Wild Samoan. We have Alpha's nephew, Sean Maluda, Alpha's son, Lloyd Ana'ai, also known as LA Smooth, Noah Kakoa, trained by Alpha the Wild Samoan. Jaka is Sean Maluda's partner, the Island Kings. So we have Neil's faction is a Polynesian Samoan faction, part of the Samoan dynasty, trained by Alpha the Wild Samoan. So when you said that we have something that's never been seen before in wrestling, I thought you were talking about Neil's faction.
I know. I mean, when is someone going to start a Samoan dynasty like somewhere else? But
we have our Sons of Boca.
You have your own.
It's never been done before in wrestling.
When I heard that name, I love that name.
The Sons of Boca?
Love.
That's all Val. That is all Val Capone.
Yeah.
It was not planned. She said, these Sons of Boca.
It was just, it just stuck so well.
So a Polynesian.
And Cesar, Brazilian.
And Brazilian with Cesar, but Simone, like that's a good wrestler. You know what we're thinking? We might bring someone in and split it. Then we'll have our original Sons of Boca versus a new.
I like it.
Also never been done.
You might have to watch out for Fair Play. He likes recruiting talent.
Yes.
So
yeah, there'll be some other surprises at Challenge Accepted. We're still working on them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say until they're booked. But some of the reality stars that we met in December at the show, and then who came to Festival of Fights. I'm working with some of them on some character. We have our school in Pompano, the Coastal Championship Wrestling School. So we'll have some of the reality stars in there. So we're gonna there'll be some other reality stars. I have some ideas, and I'm hoping that they come to fruition.
I think it will. I have nothing you've doctored up hasn't come true or happened yet.
Oh no, some of it has.
Well, true, but I'm saying it's a compliment.
People say they always see me at the wrestling shows because I always have the good seats, and I say, no, you don't see me if I don't have good seats. If I'm in the 200 level, you don't see me, right? If I'm inside on camera, sometimes I'm not on camera side, right? So you only see me when you see me, right? I have a lot of good ideas. A lot of them don't come to fruition.
That's true. The ones you truly want, but
sure.
Because I remember on the last Jericho cruise, I joked with Matt Cardona, who is a BRCW alum now. He's wrestled the show.
He wrestled the first Challenge Accepted.
Yes.
He wrestled Mark Long. Mark Long is undefeated. He has beaten Matt Cardona. Mm-hmm. He beat Noah Kakoa. Mark has a pretty good record in his wrestling career. But Matt Cardona, Matt Cardona, I don't want to say I had difficulty working with him before the show because I didn't do it. I did it through cutouts and intermediaries, so it was a little bit different for me. But I was nervous, and he was great. He was absolutely great.
Because I was joking with him and another wrestler, and he was behind us, and I was telling this wrestler he missed the last cruise for Bruisin because his flight came in too late. Rocky Romero, and I was telling Rocky, I'm like, Rocky, this is not what you're used to in the indie world. And Cardona hears that. I said, you know this, Matt. I just brought him in. I said, you wrestled in the show. He goes, yeah, you mean the show where we had pyro and I lost and confetti came out over me? He goes, yeah, I think he's kind of right here. I mean, he totally put over. And he's known for like saying everything bluntly. And he was just talking about
confetti for Festival of Fights.
He had confetti all over him when he lost. He's like, yeah, I lost and I had to roll around. He said, I said it's not an indie show. I know it's technically, but it's first class. And I make a point to tell all you guys that I love the vignettes you do during the shows that I love when
That's
you're
previewing.
Yeah, he's fantastic at it. And I loved I think it was the Renaissance show, the show before Festival of Fights. you guys did an amazing job of on a screen, like it was a TV taping, having pictures of the matches for the next show.
Yes. Yes.
Which is really like something you never see in that world, because they have to go show to show. They can't build stuff up, which is the special thing of BRCW.
I just reached out to the Pullman and to see if we could do confetti. Not every venue allows the confetti.
But it was when Mark Lone defeated Matt Cardona. I mean, it was.
And I think that's when we declared it. We must have declared him the All-Star champion.
Yes,
that must have been it.
Yeah, you had the whole section for the reality people. It was. It was crazy. Then it was funny was. I think I saw you 2 months after that show, and I said, "Yeah, I talked to these two people from a different reality show," and you were like, "Wait, there were reality people at a reality show, and I didn't even know."
Matt,
not that you didn't know they were there, but like that TV show wasn't like.
Yeah, I know.
It was a Hell's Kitchen.
So Thursday, Cruising for a Bruisin, January 30th. Tickets on sale at BocaRatonWrestling.com. The last thing I want to say is we have a lot of championship matches. Right, we have our women's championship match, Ash by Elegance versus MJ Jenkins. We have our tag team match, The Righteous versus Riddle and Kurt Stallion. We have our heavyweight championship match, Noah Keikoa with Kerry Morton with Ricky in his corner. So that's 3. But then we also have the CCW Women's Championship match, I think.
Yes.
I think we have the CCW Women's Championship match and the Totally Arctic Wrestling.
I can't wait for that
championship match.
I can't wait.
Cheeseburger and Dez. So we have 5 championship matches.
Wow.
I have to make a post about that.
So we're winding this down. I promise I wouldn't keep you on it, but I'm so pumped for the show. I'm glad you went over the card, and it just further validates how stacked it is. My friend, thank you so much for coming on. I will see you this week.
All right.
And thank you for your time. BRCW, if you are in the South Florida area, if you are watching this and you're going on the Jericho cruise and you're still not sure of something to do the night before, it's not even a if should I go, it's just do it. It's that good. I can't wait for it.
All right. Hey, thank you for having me, and we will talk soon.
Sounds great, Matt. Thank you so much for coming on.
Then Wednesday, if you want to come to the Meatball Battle, ribcagebattle.com. It's for the George Snow Scholarship Fund. We're having meatballs. We're having boxing. We're having BRCW Superstars at the Ribcage Battle. So we're going to start. We're starting the cruise Wednesday in Delray, Ribcage Battle. Then we're going down. We're all going down to the Pullman. We're checking into the Pullman Wednesday night. We'll be there setting up the ring Thursday. Thursday night's the show. After party, going all night, getting on the cruise Friday, and then do you know about Tuesday when we get off the cruise?
I know some of it, but not all the details.
Let's talk about that offline because
that's why I was not going to bring that up here.
Right. But yeah, so I'm going. Everybody else's cruise is Friday to Tuesday. Mine is Wednesday to Wednesday.
There you go. That's when you know you've made.
We're all we're all doing a shore excursion together, ending up in Miami Beach, lunch on the beach, hanging out, dinner, go home the next day.
Awesome. Matt, thank you again for your time.
Yeah.
BRCW this Thursday. It'll be a special night.
See you there,
take care, everyone.
See you there, and feel free if you come up to me. Feel free to say hi. Please introduce yourself with your name because sometimes I can't match faces with names.
Yes, if you see him and you recognize him from the Jericho Cruise or the Facebook group or BRCW in general, Matt loves to talk with the people there. All right, take care, everyone.
All righty.